Alright, as you can see, I've got my deck set up for me. So for context, I just got back now from my local league challenge from the 2nd of November. Just a bit after Halloween, but I still went for a little spooky season with Banette EX, Banette Gardevoir specifically. Yes, I was inspired by many of the item lock decks that have been running around as of late. I think specifically after my last League Cup where I came back and I watched the regionals where Piper Lepine, I think, was able to beat out a Terapogos with Banette Gardevoir. I was like, that's it. That's the deck that I want to play. And I did not do too well. Mainly because round 1, okay, well, let's first go over the deck so you get an idea. It's not the exact right deck, but it's close enough, right? 3 Rods, 4 Curlier, 2 Gardevoir line, 4 Shuppet, 3 Banette line. I did not have the puppeteering Banette one where you could grab a supporter, but more on that in just a second. Radiant Alakazam, Spiritomb, Mew, and 2 Monkey Dories. 6 Psychic Energy, 3 Luminous Energy. I had 1 Arven, because when I was sort of like playing with myself, what I realized was that sometimes I was bricking a lot in terms of 1 or 2 scenarios. Either I don't get a Shuppet out turn 1 or like on my first turn, or I don't have energy for that on turn 1, or like I start the game off with something else in the active and a Shuppet on the bench. So I would need 2 energy essentially. 1 energy to retreat out my active, and then another energy to then be able to use Everlasting Darkness on the second turn. So Arven with a Earthen Vessel in the deck was sort of how I countered that. Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking, of course, always nice. Turo Scenario to pick up any liabilities that you have. 2 Boss's Orders, 2 Professor's Research, and 3 Iono. 3 Buddy Buddies, 2 Trekking Shoes, 4 Ultras because you really want to find those Banettes, 2 Nest Balls, Earthen Vessel, Super Rod, Counter Catcher, and a Rare Candy, just in case I needed to like go on the gas to get an instant Gardevoir, which never really came up that often. And then my 2 stadiums were Artisan and Pokemon League Headquarters. League Headquarters is more just for like, if I were to go up against the big basic deck, this can help stall them out. The 3 other items here were Hisuian Heavy Ball, Gravity Gemstone to of course add 1 to the retreat cost, and Hero's Cape because it's the only ace spec I have. So round 1 goes and I go up against a Palkia player. The exact worst thing that I wanted to go up against. And then this is going to be a theme by the way, but we roll for who goes first. He wins the dice roll and he chooses to go first. And I am like, oh no. I do manage to get a Shuppet out turn 1, and I do manage to attack with it, but of course, it is a coin flip on whether or not your item lock. I rolled a Tails, and that was it. His next turn, I had 3, like I had a Shuppet, and I think like a Ralts. He just went, oh, okay, cool. Dusk Noir, the Shuppet, Moonlight Shuriken away the other 2, and I was like, alright, cool, I will definitely be going first next game around. And next game was a lot better. I was of course able to get the item lock going and stall him out for a little bit. The issue is that I do like this deck as opposed to regular Gardevoir because of the fact that it gives you some time to set up because you're item locking them, so you have some time to, you know, find cards. Because my issue with Gardevoir was there'd be instances where you don't have enough energy in the discard pulp to actually like do anything, because like let's say you TM Evo, you Rare Candy, you go instantly into Gardevoir. You haven't like set up enough to have energy in the discard or to have your Drifloon set up and stuff like that. Maybe it's just me playing it poorly though. That's probably honestly the issue. And that's why I chose Banette Gardevoir as opposed to pure Gardevoir. The issue was that I was able to slowly start like chipping away at his Palkia and stuff like that, but eventually he just V-starred anyway and he energized 2 of his Palkias. And then he smacked my Banette for like 220. And I was like, okay, I need, like my Banette's gonna go down this turn. I need to like start a prize trade. So I need to like Poltergeist into him. But like he had 5 cards in hand. He had to have like 4 of them be trainer cards. And I was like, that's a big gamble. Even though, you know, I could stall out some time, it wasn't enough time to get that perfect board set up where I have 2 Banettes going, 2 Monkey Dories with Luminous Energy so that I can, you know, do the whole Gardevoir attach energy, switch out, move Monkey Dory, damage across, and, you know, essentially do like 90 damage per turn. So I was like, let's just pull it. Let's Poltergeist. And he had 3 trainers, not enough to get the KO. So I was like, well, that's unfortunate. Gets return KO. I move up like a Gardevoir. And then because there was no longer an item lock, he could then just start like popping Dusk Noirs and stuff like that. And it was a clean sweep, unfortunately. Game 2 then was a lot better, but it was better for a reason because the guy I was playing against was sort of new-ish to the game. Like he had a very hodgepodge deck. It was a Hisuian Zoroark, like using Dodrio as like a draw engine where it takes damage counters to draw a card, and then Hisuian Zoroark V-Star I think does 50 times the number of Pokemon that have damage counters on them. Like there, I had the chance to get item lock going and it like just stun locked him completely. So that was a 2-0. And then for the final match, or the third round, I was up against a Dragapult player. And again, I lost the coin toss. He chose to go first. I went second. I could get a Shuppet into the active. I rolled for Enveloping Shadow. I rolled Tails. He gets to use his rare candies, and it was just game over. Like, he could get his Dragapults going and stuff like that. And I was like, that's a GG. Of course, I chose to go first then after that. And because I went first, I could then set up a Shuppet and then set up a Banette. And then like the item lock just stunned him completely. He couldn't do anything. Like, he was actually having a really bad draws because he would Tatsugiri to try and find a supporter from his top 6. And like 3 times he would like search the top 6 and like there would be no supporters for him to grab. So that was a very like slow and lengthy process of me slowly KOing him by, you know, just constantly item locking him. And then of course, round 3, he chose to go first. And that was a bit rough because obviously, again, I got a Shuppet into the active turn 2, I had it energized, and I flipped a Tails on Enveloping Shadow. So of course, he got to energize his Dragapults, get them going with rare candies, pop with Dusk Noirs and stuff like that. And thankfully, we did go to time, and it was a draw at the end of the day because I think he could have gone for game, but it was very awkward because he had 4 prizes left. He could have absolutely gotten a 4 prize turn. I had a Mew, and like 3 other like basics. Mew was on the bench though. He could have bossed in my Mew, blew up one of my, like the Monkey Dory with his Dusk Noir if he had one, and then Phantom Dive, knock out Mew, and a bench for 4 prizes. But the thing is, he had a Duskull. He did not have a Dusk Noir. He had a rare candy, no Dusk Noir because the Dusk Noir was prized, and his bench was full. So he couldn't play down a Luminion to get a boss's order to force the Mew in for a 2 prize on that, unless he popped something on his bench, which had to be that one Duskull. So he could only go into a Dusclops, which only does 50 damage, not enough to get a KO on something else. Puts down Luminion, gets a bosses, but like that's only 3 prizes. So yeah. Moral of the story though, as good as this deck is, it's really susceptible to coin flips. Like, I feel like the coin flips really just lost me the game. And even against the Palkia player, even when I did go second, or go first rather, and I could get the Banette in, that concern of either I need to stall out long enough that I have so much damage spread around from Everlasting Darkness and Monkey Dory placements that I don't have to worry about Poltergeist. I can just say, Poltergeist, even if it's just 1 card, that's fine. You return KO Banette, and I just push up my Gardevoirs, and I just start Miracle Forcing, right? But in that scenario, he was able to still set up fast enough, even through to item lock, where I needed him to have like 4 cards in hand, which he didn't because he Ionoed like previously, which I'm not a fan of, where like it's a gamble, right? You have to then hope that they have enough to give up that item lock. That being said, I think I alluded to it in my singles buying. One nice thing is that afterwards, obviously, we got to get our prize cards or prize packs, so I'll open that in just a second. Buddy, prize pack 5, and a Stellar Crown. But after that, we did get some trading done. So the one other guy that was there, he's a friend of mine named Rainier, was the very first guy I played against at the same league challenge. He gave me like the 1 Duskull that I needed, which was very nice of him. And I overheard him mentioning, you know, oh, he's looking for a Teal Mask Ogerpon because he wants to build Raging Bolt and stuff like that. So I was like, yo, speak to me. I do happen to have a Teal Mask Ogerpon. So afterwards, we did a couple trading. It was nice to do. Was nice. And I grabbed from him. So I gave him my Teal Mask Ogerpon. On one hand, I was thinking maybe I could use it myself, you know. Maybe I could build Raging Bolt, but like then I have to get 3 more Teal Mask Ogerpons, 4 or like however many Raging Bolts and all that stuff. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. So instead, from him, I grabbed a Pheasantipity EX and a Banette. The one Banette that I need for this deck, you know, to be able to fetch a supporter from the discard pile. And Pheasantipity, very splashable, can go in lots of other decks. Because I remember like a few weeks back, I even mentioned to him, oh, you know, I'm looking for a Pheasantipity. And he said he has one. He was willing to loan it to me for that one event. And I was like, you know what, it's fine. But now that I have had something to trade with for, I was like, yo, remember that Pheasantipity? And we knew what each other wanted. So I'm very glad that I got the Pheasantipity. I don't know if I'll put it in this deck, but maybe in a deck that I will talk about in just a second. But I'm glad though that I got a trade done. And it felt nice, you know, trading, especially with Rainier, who is like a good friend of mine and somebody that I know is like a player. So I know that Teal Mask Ogerpon is going to be used in like an actual deck as opposed to just like a collection. As long as he doesn't play it against me, that's all I hope for. And then aside from that though, the shop owner there as well, I also spoke to him. He also had a trade binder there, and I grabbed some other cards. The other 2 Duskulls that I needed for my playset and a Dusclops, as well as a Blood Moon Ursaluna. What I'm essentially saying is there's a very good chance I might pivot from Gardevoir Banette to Banette and Dusk Noir. I do like the item locking effect of Banette, but the issue is you're stuck only item locking, because the moment you give up that item lock, it's like you need to be ready to just like take 2 prizes on the very next turns. That's why, like I said, with Gardevoir, you ideally item lock them until you have a board state ready where you Poltergeist for a knockout, they return, and then you just start Miracle Forcing with your Gardevoir. But if they can set up before that, it's a bit risky. So it'd be very nice if you can still item lock with Everlasting Darkness while still doing good damage by just popping your Dusk Noirs. And then also by popping Dusk Noirs, you also enable the ability to go into Blood Moon Ursaluna at 1 prize left for them, so that you can just have another big heavy hitter. I know it's not like the exact right cards. I think I still need, what is it called? Pokestops for the Banette Dusk Noir deck I'm thinking of, like the Henry Brand deck. But I mean, everyone was playing Pokestop there, so I could probably just end up using the opponent's Pokestop anyway. With that out of the way though, let's open up some prize packs and see what we get. First, we'll go with prize pack series 5. How do people like crack these so easily and stuff like that? I feel like they just do it so effortlessly. Meanwhile, I'm battling. Like, how do they do it? How do they do it? There we go. Oh, it's not even like a proper, like, what am I doing? I'm tearing away the plastic on top of the plastic. There we go. Right. There is the code card. And then a water energy. Oh, great. More Palkia memories. Heavy Baton. Professor Terra Scenario. Brambleghast. TM Evo. And a rare candy. I am excited though, because I think Surging Sparks is going to become legal later this week. And in 2 weeks time, at the same place where we just were for the League Challenge, they have their inaugural very first League Cup. So I'm very excited for that. I don't think I'll win, because I think they're giving away the full art Iono from the premium box collection. But it will be nice to, you know, go to another League Cup and see what the competition is like there. I'm probably gonna run into a lot of Palkia, a lot of Raging Bolt, a lot of Terapogos. So I need to decide now whether or not I'm going to stick to Banette Gardevoir or go for, you know, embrace the dark side with Dusk Noir. Right, code card. Front. It is a dark side. Speaking of, a Nimble, Slowpoke, Brokey, Ladybug. Ooh, a Jirachi. Glass Trumpet. Ooh, that could be useful. That's playable. I don't really have anything that can use it, but good to have. Luminion, a Mewtwo. Okay, you know what else would be very nice? A Terapogos EX, not just Glass Trumpets. And let's see. It is a Dreadnought. Otherwise though, I think I am gonna have to spend a lot of time thinking about my deck. I don't know, I feel like when I was testing it online, the Banette Gardevoir, it worked so well. Maybe, but again, I think it's just because I was winning my coin flips and stuff like that. But in best of 3, where I can really only guarantee that I go first once, it's a little bit risky. I will say, something that I am considering in this Dusk Noir and Banette deck is to include Salvatore. The one card that lets you, you know, supporter, if you go second, you can still evolve immediately. I need to get the item lock going, and I don't like having to rely on coin flips. But Salvatore, obviously it's only 1 card, but I might add a Luminion as well so I can get that as a supporter. The issue is, of course, I have to worry about starting with Luminion. That's always scary. I know there's the Call Bell, which lets you fetch a supporter card, but that's not legal yet because that's in Surging Sparks. I will definitely need to rethink my deck list quite a bit. Like, I know everyone says Banette Gardevoir is good, but I do think it is good. I'm not a fan of, you know, having the Dusclops, Dusk Noir popping myself, but 1, it's so risky to get to that board state, and 2, it takes very long. Like I said, against the Dragon Ball player, I went to time. I would like a deck that can, like, you know, go a little bit more faster than that, so that we don't like spend ages of me just saying I'll just attack for 30 every single turn, you know. I will see you all probably in the League Cup report, or maybe, who knows, maybe as soon as it becomes legal, I might buy a Surging Sparks ETB and I might open that. Until then though, bye bye.